Hey kids, you're listening to the internet's wettest podcast about video games, consoles, and pancakes. The SML Podcast.
Prepare for the SML Podcast.
What's up, everybody? This is the SML Podcast. I am your host, Joe. We have a fun show lined up later on in the episode. We're going to have Julian Rice of Rice Games joining us, chat about the Steam and PS5 release of Shujinkou, going to be hitting the Switch as well, and of course, we will beg and plead for an Xbox version. That is what we are here to do. Hockey is here, Pernell is here, Tim is here, Horror Acolyte is here. How's everyone doing?
I've been better.
There we go.
It's like, how is there that many names and nobody talking?
Well, we're all waiting for the other one to say something. We're also courteous.
Yeah.
That is true. I like the way you think. Yes, we are the most courteous of podcasts.
Tim, it's been a while for you.
No,
How are you doing?
Talk immediately.
You go first.
Who?
You, Tim.
Oh.
How have you been?
Yeah, I don't know. It's beginning of school year time, which is always like a horrible nightmare for me. So I'm trying to, in the process of emerging from that 3-week sprint from like the end of August through beginning of September, and I'm kind of still busy.
Your summer
but
cocoon.
gotta settle back into the school routine and get everything, and then it just becomes the grind again, but still very busy. So, and kid is in middle school now, so he gets up an hour earlier. It's a big change for
we're
him.
growing up.
And
he's growing up. We're all getting old.
Yep. We are getting old, but he is still young.
Speak for yourselves. I am old.
Yes.
You poor old fucks.
I am old. Huh? What you guys are talking about?
Taken many wrestling
But
shows
it means-
recently?
Yeah. Have I been to any?
Have you taken him to any?
No,
No.
not since July. No, and I'm not going to Toronto for the one this weekend, though. I'm
Excited for the one this weekend?
Yeah, that's why I'm starting to kind of regret not going to Toronto for it.
There's still
I'm
time.
like, there's a big no. I kind of, it's just not the
Tickets are
financially or temporally sound decision to make. But I'm just like, man, there's gonna be a big fucking messy ladder match. I'd get to see Okada, and Eddie Kingston's coming back. So those are like 3 really cool things.
What sort of cost does that usually come with, like for a ticket to go to one of those things?
So it's not necessarily that expensive. Like some of the cheaper tickets are very affordable. It's like a 2.5 hour drive up to Toronto, which ain't bad. It's really not that bad in terms of cost. It's just another cost when I have many other costs that I have to deal with in the next few weeks. So
Relatable.
yeah, so it's just like it's just probably better that I don't do that right now, because doing stuff next. I'm going to Detroit next weekend for a Capoeira event, and that's an expense and a drive and a trip. So
You got to drive to Detroit?
yeah, it's like
Ooh,
4 hours
boy.
from Buffalo.
No, in that case, no, that's not bad at all.
Yeah, well, 4
I'm
hours and
thinking,
change, probably like 4.5 when you include. Well, I got to go across the border twice, so maybe it'll actually end up being closer to 5. But either way, if you go through Canada, it's actually not that bad.
So that's what you hop around to basically jump over?
Yep. Yeah. Instead
That's
of
a smart
going down through Pennsylvania and Ohio and up to Michigan, you just jump straight over Ontario, and it saves like 3 hours of driving each way.
I should make a sound clip of Sean saying "fuck Ohio."
Yeah, I don't want to drive through there
You may
unless
be
I
right
really
there.
have to.
Pretty bad.
There's like 2 good cities there, and the rest is woof.
Yeah.
There's 2
yeah,
good cities
I'm-
there, and the rest are just as bad.
I'm just gonna watch wrestling from the comfort of my home this weekend, and hopefully make the next show they decide to do in Toronto, which I'm sure, I don't know, be in a year or two. There will be another chance. I'm not worried about it.
Yeah, they go there for
a hot wrestling stop. Yeah.
And they're not going to Saudi.
No, yeah, I was gonna say I think Money in the Bank was in this arena last year, so I don't know if they do this on purpose where they kind of switch off, and WWE goes 1 year and then AEW does the next year, because AEW was there 2 years ago for Forbidden Door, which was an insano card that I'm sad that I missed, but it was my anniversary. So what you gonna do, brother?
Your anniversary runs wild on you.
Yeah.
Oh Lord.
Yeah, and then we ended up like doing stuff, and then I think she was like tired, and then I only ended up missing like a match or two out of the card anyway. So whatever, it's fine.
This card will always be there waiting for you with wrestling.
Yeah. Yep. Yeah. So it's all good.
And we will always be here with the Vidya game reviews. We got a handful to talk about before our interview at the top of the hour. Should we dive into these? Because I know the first one's gonna take a lot of time. We should. I mean, it might, but you know, just in case, you can always fill more time with banter later. Yeah,
but you don't want to rush reviews.
Yeah. All right, let's kick things off. Metal Gear Solid Delta Snake Eater, developed, published, and provided to us by Konami. Thank you, Konami. Aki, say thank you.
Thank you, Konami.
Released August 28th on Series XS, PS5, and PC for $69.99. In the middle of the Cold War, Naked Snake, the man who would later be known as Big Boss, infiltrates the Soviet Union to escort a defecting scientist, Sokolov. However, the mission ends in failure when Snake's mentor, the Boss, a soldier known as the Mother of Special Forces, betrays him, and Sokolov is captured by Colonel Volgin of the GRU. 1 week later, Snake returns.
Spoilers.
This is in there right up. 1 week later, Snake returns to Soviet territory to rescue him and eliminate the Boss, a mission that will mark the start of a new legend, Why did they have that twice? Against the backdrop of the ever-changing march of history. Aki and Tim, both of you played this. Aki, you got the review copy, so you should probably talk about it first.
Yeah.
Oh, hi. This is a remake of one of the best games of all time, Metal Gear Solid 3, and it's the best of the Metal Gear Solid games by a pretty significant margin, and we're not listening to anyone who says anything different because they're stupid and wrong. And yeah, in this, you play as a little soldier boy, and you're going in as a solo individual to go deal with getting a Russian defector out of Russia. Super smart scientist dude, no one cares about him really. And you kind of sort of get your ass kicked by your mentor, and you come back later on for try 2. And yeah, she has a full team of people to stand in your way that all have superpowers, so that's real fun. You got the End, who is a really, really old sniper guy who can photosynthesize. You got a guy named the Fear who can turn invisible, all sorts of stuff like that. Like, they're all jackasses, and you're just a fucking dude. A dude with a gun. Yeah, you're just some dude, but you have a gun and you can get more, so that's always fun. It has a whole bunch of difficulties, which I think the changes that the difficulties have is you take more damage. When you get injured, they're much worse and require more resources, and I think the bosses take less damage, maybe. So, as well as it's easier for enemies to spot you. Everything else is basically the same. I think all the placement of enemies even is mostly the same. I think there might be more as you get harder difficulties. This is a decently length campaign. This is probably a 10-15 hour campaign, more or less.
If you skip the cutscenes, you are going to cook through this game.
Like, it is so. Skip the cutscenes.
No, but I'm just saying. I'm saying in terms of actual. No, you absolutely should not skip the cutscenes. Heresy. But absolutely not. But
yeah, if you skipped all the cutscenes, this is probably closer to like a 4
it's a few hours.
game.
Yeah,
25 minutes.
Quick, you know what you're doing, but you should be watching those cutscenes.
Yeah, they're real good. And you go and you fight all the different bosses. There's 2 ways of dealing with every enemy in the game. Well, I guess technically there's 3 ways of dealing with every enemy in the game. You can be less than lethal and render them unconscious either by choking them out or using one of your tranq guns. You can kill the shit out of them with, any of the multitude of lethal, from a knife all the way to a RPG.
That what you did?
Or you can... No, I do stealth
Nice.
because I like that. And that's your third option. You can sneak around them and leave them the fuck alone and not even fight them. And that's what I tend to do just because I played the shit out of the original game, so I kind of know a surprisingly large amount of the placements of the enemies still.
A quick question, jumping back to the cutscenes. Do they keep your controller on?
Yeah.
Okay, because I know some games
they'll let your controller
shut off.
Sometimes you can interact with them.
Oh yeah, in a number of the cutscenes, and this is true for the original as well. It'll pop up a button prompt that you can push, and it allows you to either see through Snake's eyes, or it brings you off to some other section to see something that you otherwise wouldn't be able to in a scene. For instance, when you first meet Eve, the other spy that's working with you in this, kind of, when you first meet her, she unzips her jacket and all she's wearing under it is a bra. And when that happens, you get a prompt and he's staring at her tits like wholesale.
You hit the fuck out of that button, didn't you?
Yeah, that was the first one I actually
did your controller
because
survive?
I knew that's what that was. Yeah, you only have to push and hold it, so yes. But then there's other ones where, you get to look around rooms that you're in. Instead of just focusing on the individual that's speaking to you, you instead go a Snake where he's still listening to the person, but he's looking around the room to see what's going on in the room, stuff like that. Most of them aren't so amazing as that first evil one, sadly. So the controller should stay on for all of them. I've never known that controllers turn off because I use a wired controller.
I think fondly back to a party where Maze Dude was playing through one of the Mortal Kombat games, and we're all just sitting watching a cutscene, and then the screen dims because the screensaver kicked in. The cutscene went so long.
Oh, Jesus.
So, yeah.
I forgot that was even a thing. Fucking hell. I have not completed this yet because I am doing everything that there is to be done. So I've gotten a little past halfway at least through this game. I've climbed the long ladder that everyone is familiar with. If they know anything about Metal Gear Solid, they usually know that damn ladder that lasts forever. I just climbed up it for the first time, basically, in this game. So, yeah, I'm a good chunk of the way through, but not quite finished. I was hoping to finish it today, but I got other games I needed to focus on a little bit. And
Tim, you might know a little something about Metal Gear, yeah?
Yeah. I also share the opinion that this is one of the best games ever made and the best Metal Gear game.
By far.
I am less judgy of other people's opinions, but for the most part. But yeah, no, I just picking up this game. I'm not even. I played the original so much, like to death. When it first came out, I could not stop playing it. I could not stop watching other people around me play it. And just immediately picking up the game and playing through the Virtuous mission, which is kind of the prologue / tutorial of the game. I couldn't. It was just immediately again so fun. Sneaking around in the bushes, just shooting dudes in the head. There is, kind of you mentioned the boilerplate. It's like, yeah, you can kill people, you can sneak around them, or you can tranquilize them. But there are so many ways. There are so many ways to do those 3 things. They give you so many tools for like tracking the enemy's location. Because remember, in the original like Metal Gear Solid and Metal Gear Solid 2, like you literally had like a radar that would ping, that would show you where enemies are. But because this is in the 60s, they don't have that technology, but you have other things to detect like sound and heat and stuff like that. But it's not like you have to be a little more sneaky about that. You can, sneak up and grab people and slam them to the ground to knock them out, or slit their throat to kill them, or, choke them out. You can hold them up for information or items. There's lots of stuff you can do with that. There are so many different like weapons and tools in the game to play around with. You can tranquilize and catch animals, which is part of the game in that you need to eat them to survive, to keep like your stamina and health up. But also you can then like throw live snakes at guards to cause hijinks. There is just like so much weird little stuff in this game, in the way you can interact with characters and bosses. Like if there's like a strange thing you can do, they probably thought of it. There are so many different ways to go about fighting the end, which is, this really well-known sniper battle. They could take a very long time or a very short time, or a long and short time if you leave the game paused in that fight for a certain amount of time. There's just like so much you can do in terms of experimenting. This is something, I saw firsthand with the original, is like everybody in my house was playing the game in a different way. And all that stuff carries over to this one. You have the classic mode where you play overhead like you did in the original Metal Gear games, but you have the modern version of the controls and the camera where it's more third person, like over the shoulder. You kind of see everything in that fashion, which it's kind of like they added that in Subsistence, the updated release that was on PlayStation 2. And this isn't that different from that. There's some other new stuff that's kind of sprinkled in, like nothing crazy, but just kind of like fun Easter eggy stuff. If you've played the first one, or just other stuff to look for, even if you haven't. But it's still one of the greatest games of all time. And the only reason I haven't played more of it is because like my kid wants to watch me play it. So therefore it's become appointment playing, and that doesn't always come around easily. But there's so much stuff to play around with and discover. And it's like, yes, you should not skip the cutscenes, because this is one of the best stories in a video game, or otherwise, really, in my opinion. I absolutely adore the story in this game. But for repeat playthroughs, having that short kind of playtime really affords you the ability to like, okay, I'm going to play through and experiment with a bunch of this stuff. And there's tons of things to unlock. And just more stuff to play. When this game first came out, I played through it like 5 times in the matter of a month. I just couldn't stop playing it and trying different stuff. And it all seems to carry over very well into this one.
I'm just trying to imagine everyone who would have been in your house at that time on the PS2 era.
Mm-hmm.
It'd be insane.
It was insane. It was a just very fond memories of us, first like sitting and watching Darren. He was the one who got the game. We just sat and watched him play it for like at least 12 hours straight the first day, like when it came in. Like we were just all day up till like 3 a.m. watching.
And you made a movie.
Yeah. Well, actually, I think we'd already made the movie. Some of this stuff in, I can't remember the timeline. It was like around the same time.
I can't remember.
We wanted to make a sequel. We wanted to make it. We desperately, well, some of us desperately wanted to make the sequel called Asp Biter, but that never came to fruition.
At least what's there is there, and I may have dropped some links to X-Strike Studios in the Twitch chat, so people could check out the
buy movies still
the filmography.
I recently just watched a couple of them, actually.
Oh.
Yeah, I just recently finished Silent Horror and Resident Horror.
Oh.
Those are
cool.
Tim's babies, aren't they? Or no, was River City your baby?
Resident Horror is. Silent Horror. Well, River City I wrote and directed. Resident Horror I co-wrote, co-directed. Silent Horror I helped get. I mean, you know, I'm heavily involved in all of them in varying capacities. But yeah, the ones I wrote were River City and Resident Horror.
Yeah, out of the three, I have 4 of them. Out of the 3 of them I've watched so far, Resident Horror was the one that made the most sense.
Yeah, that's
If that makes you feel any better.
Yeah,
the rest of them are
accurate.
like fucking gibberish.
Yes. Yep. Yeah. No, we clearly got better at doing all of that stuff over the course of the time we were making the movies, and Resident Horror is coherent.
And there's so many jokes in those early movies that like no one else
It's
would get.
nonstop. No, it's man, especially in River City, it's insane. Like
Honestly, I think out of all the acting, out of all of them, I liked the most. I think it was actually you in Silent Horror, where you were playing the guy who was controlling all the zombies. Just the introduction, it was amazing.
Thanks. Took me a second to remember what that guy was.
Fair.
Anyways, we're not here to review my movies.
Yeah, we're here to talk about Metal Gear Solid Delta Snake Eater. Again, it was published and given to us by the fine folks at Konami. Clocks in at $70. What do you two think about this game?
Yeah, I mean, it's an easy buy. Like, maybe the easiest buy I'll ever give on this show.
Yeah, by far. This was a fantastic game. I really loved playing this.
Yeah.
Is the deluxe edition with the sneaking DLC pack worth it?
Well, that I don't know.
The outfits, I believe, prevent you from being able to obtain some of the higher ranks. So that's something to keep in mind, keep mindful of. I believe that actually prevents you from getting a bunch of the different ranks in the game. So
there's something that's like infinite ammo guns or like super camouflage. Yeah, they're basically cheats. Yeah. It's fine.
Yeah, and that's what a lot of the outfits kind of are. Is there's stuff like that as well. So it kind of makes sense. Like you got the gold outfit, which I think is a pre-order bonus specifically. And it makes you run at 150% speed. Yeah, you zoom. It takes away absolutely all of your ability to stealth in the game. It gives you an instant minus 150 to
Does it give you a shoulder tackle move too, so you could just like tackle into people?
I don't know. I haven't actually used it because it goes against stealth, which is my thing.
Overall, the game's still worth it. Yeah.
Oh yeah, totally. And I like the DLC suits because they give you interesting effects. If you're not going in as an achievement hunter, they're real fun. And after you get all the achievements, they're going to be real fun because, like, for instance, you get a grenade outfit and where you just have a bunch of grenades and you get infinite grenades with it.
Nice.
Who doesn't find that shit fun?
Like, one of them's a duck mask, isn't it?
I did not see a duck mask. There's a gator mask that has a damaged eye. I think that might be what you're thinking of. And it.
I'm just looking at the art on the sneaking DLC pack.
Oh.
There's a duck and a frog.
Get the whole thing. Those are the masks for the mascot characters that you shoot in the game. Yes, gotcha. Those do exist. And I think the frog one has existed in the old game and the new game. They're one of the collectibles that you have to shoot in order to get the infinite ammo easy gun, I believe. And the duck one is for a new set of characters that give you a new camo outfit, I believe is what it is, that you can activate that doesn't use stamina or battery or anything, from what I understand. And it's real good because it changes based on what you're around. It looks real cool. I can't wait to unlock that bitch.
Nice. All right, well, let's move on. Next game to talk about, Star Wars Outlaws Gold Edition, developed, published, and provided to us by Ubisoft. Thank you, Ubisoft. Tim, say thank you.
Thank you.
Released September 4th on the Switch 2 for $59.99. Experience the first ever open world Star Wars action adventure game and explore the distinct locations across the galaxy, both iconic and new. Risk it all as scoundrel Kay seeking freedom and the means to start a new life. Fight, steal, and outwit your way through the galaxy's crime syndicates as you join the galaxy's most wanted. If you're willing to take the risk, the galaxy is full of opportunity. Tim, how is the Switch 2 version of this game?
It's like really good. So yeah, this game came out. What's up? What are you saying? Something?
I was gonna say that's really good because some of those early, like the Switch 2 ports, weren't the best.
Yeah. So this game, obviously it came out last year. It's a Star Wars kind of open world-ish, Ubisoft-ish game. Action adventure stuff. It kind of is not so much the Jedi space magic parts of Star Wars. It is more all the other stuff. So yeah, you start out as this kind of scoundrelish character who is stealing stuff and breaking the law and pissing people
and
off.
And is also really hot.
And doing crimes. Yeah. All right. And
now you know who covered it on Xbox.
Yeah. And she has a little alien buddy that hangs out on her shoulder. And you're going around like there's these like different crime syndicates that you're kind of trying to curry favor with or play off of each other. You got your Nix is the little alien guy's name. So it's kind of like the moment gameplay. It is mostly stealthy, but they sprinkle in there's shootering, there's like kind of climbing, platforming, navigating areas, like kind of akin to maybe like a Tomb Raider, Uncharted sort of deal. You got speeder bikes and ships and puzzle solving and just all kinds of stuff going on in this game. It's just jam packed with video gamey stuff. Once you get going in the game, you kind of start out. You start on the small area, but you once you're really going, you're in this kind of city area, but then that breaks out into this larger planet area, which breaks out into that you breaks off, I guess I should say, when you leave the planet. Into other areas, but it's like, yeah, you're out there with your speeder and there's points of interest and all these side quests and things to collect in kind of classic Ubisoft fashion. But overall, it feels good. Like it was kind of just in terms of the game and its existence and what it does. It was really kind of something that I was looking for right now at this time of year when I'm just kind of want to sit down and turn my brain off and just kind of like, I'm just going to knock out some missions and maybe explore some stuff over here. And I don't have to think about it, too much. But yeah, it's just like even over, obviously I might have been playing a lot of Silksong in the past week as well, but not exclusively. It was sometimes like, I just, Silksong's kind of a tough, very, what do I want to say, atmospheric, like absorbing game. And sometimes, I want to chill a little bit more and want the stakes to be a little bit lower. I just want to play some Outlaws right now. And it was good for that. And it does a really good job of Star Warsing. Just it feels like a really good Star Wars game in terms of like placing you in that universe with that kind of technology and those kinds of characters and those kinds of situations. And giving you stuff to do and interact with it. So like, just kind of like off the top, like it's probably not the greatest, game on the planet. Like it's not like a 10 out of 10, 9 out of 10, but it's like a really rock solid, like 7 or 8 out of 10, probably 8 out of 10 for me. in terms of like just everything that's going on there feels good, like is cool, stuff to do. There's a lot of it, probably too much, because it's an Ubisoft game.
This even gets you the gold edition, so you get the two story packs, the Java mission, the bundles.
Yes, so much stuff in there. Shoot, my train of thought. Okay, no, it's back. So it's a really rock solid game. But then, so this is the Switch 2 version of it. This, previously released on consoles that were more powered to handle it, and now it's being ported to something that's like a little bit less powerful, and it still runs like really good. There's been kind of a lot of talk. I don't know about a lot of talk, but there's been talk of just like how strong this port is, because we're running at like pretty solid 30 frames per second. Like, you're not getting 60 if you are a frame rate. If you demand high frame rate over all else, like, this isn't going to be the version for you. But it runs better than it does on like a Steam Deck. So for a portable version, this is still going to be the best version out there. Like, playing it on the TV, like, it's good on portable. I'll talk about that in a second. But like, putting it on the TV, like, man, it is still like, it is a gorgeous game, with some really just the actual fidelity of the graphics and the art in the areas, like, look really, really nice. Definitely like a huge step up over, anything that I saw on the Switch 1. Like, it looks like a modern game. It's just running at 30 frames per second. And part of that, like, to kind of get into the nitty gritty, part of the reason it can do that is because the Switch 2 is built on NVIDIA hardware. So like, it can still do like ray tracing stuff because it's basically like built into the system. Like, the technology is built in there, so it can still use that stuff. And they cut corners in kind of the right places in terms of like lowering polygon counts, where it doesn't matter, but making sure that, the frame rate is still good, the character models still look good, and everything plays really smoothly. And then playing portably, like, it felt, totally good. I'd been previous to this, I'd been playing, this is just maybe a weird comparison, but I've been playing Death Stranding on my Steam Deck. And it definitely felt like, okay, they are really shoving this, PS4 game, or PS5, or no, it was a PS4 game first, shoving this game down onto the Steam Deck. Like, yeah, it's running fine. Like, there are places where it gets really framey. But, having also played on my PC, it's just like, okay, yeah, I feel like there's quite a bit of difference here. But, it's wandering around delivering packages. It's a thing I can do portably, even though it makes my Steam Deck really cook. But here it's just like, yeah, Outlaws still like looks really good and runs really well and is totally playable. Like, there's moments where I found that like some of like the finer details of the environment, like if they're a little further away, they're harder to discern. But, I'm playing it on a much smaller screen. And that just is going to happen. Also, getting fucking old, eyes don't work so well anymore. Colors can kind of mush together sometimes, but there was only like a couple instances where it's just like, oh, I just like walked into a guy I just could not see because it was like a little too dark, or there was like something I needed to shoot with my, like a mechanism I had to shoot with my ion gun that I just couldn't make out from the background. But for the most part, I'm going through these areas. I'm like, man, this all just like looks really good. It's moving really well. It feels like the hardware can handle what they did. And it was just kind of really the Switch release I was looking for right now, because I'd finished up Bonanza and I was kind of, I was looking for something that would show off the power of the system and just be kind of like fun and a little mindless to play. So yeah, I was really impressed with it. Gives me a lot of hope for ports to come in the future. Hopefully other companies will do the work to make them really run nice on Switch like this does.
Hope so. But This one clocks in at 60. What are your thoughts?
Wow, only 60, and that's the gold version, 60?
Yep.
Yeah, no, that's good. That's a solid purchase right there. I actually, And, I was noticing over the weekend as I was out in stores. I mean, well, one, I did see the PS5 gold version was on sale for like $30, but like normal retail on this game is still like $70 for the gold edition, like at most retailers. Like if you wait around, you'll find it for cheap. And that's the old, for the other consoles. But yeah, $60, I was really expecting you to say 70, to be perfectly honest. But yeah, 60 is a totally fair price for this game.
$59.99. Yep. And of course, they're going to load the store with day one DLC that are all language packs and
sure,
just free language. Yeah.
I mean, yeah, the cynical among us can be like, it's an Ubisoft release. I'll probably be able to get it for like $40 in a month or two. And you'd probably be right. But then it's an even bigger recommendation then. So yeah, I think it's a great Switch 2 purchase. Especially right now when there isn't a lot of big games yet, kind of built up in the backlog. You have a couple big ones from Nintendo. You have them doing Switch 2 editions of a lot of their first party stuff, but the third party release ports up to this point have been like a little bit hit or miss, and this one's a hit, and I think really worth checking out, especially if you're a Star Wars fan. If you're not a Star Wars fan, then you might be like, Star Wars, but yeah, for Star Wars, I think Star Wars fans will just eat this up.
Very good.
Cool.
All right. Well, Tim, we will let you get going. Thank you, as always, for coming on, hanging out with us.
Yeah, always a pleasure. I just
all out this weekend.
Elbow. Yeah, all outs this weekend.
That'd be good.
And I will be staying all in my house, as I mentioned previous.
Plenty of time. Yeah, you can do it. You can do it.
Talk to you then. Have a good night.
Take it easy, Tim. All right. Next up, Hirogami, developed by Bandai Namco Studio Singapore, published by Kakehashi Games, I believe. Released September 3rd on PS5 and Steam for $29.99. Explore beautiful origami world as Hiro, a fan-wielding master of the art of folding. Embark on a mystical journey to save your fragile home from deadly digital invaders. Take on animal forms to traverse the landscape, solve puzzles, overcome enemies, and save the realm. Pernell, what is Hirogami?
Hirogami is a 3D platformer where you play as Hiro, as you described. The idea behind this game is you are playing by traversing a series of platforming stages. Each of these levels coming with their own set of goals that you can fulfill to acquire collectibles that can be used on the world map to purchase upgrades or various doodads. But the actual act of playing the game is something that's fairly familiar, but familiar doesn't necessarily mean it's not worth engaging in. See, Hiro is an origami man and that lives in an origami world. It's fantastic and not made of all that much plastic. It's a great vibe, and then this idea that he is running around using paper powers in a sense to remove these digital invaders, as you mentioned earlier in the review. Base moveset is to be able to jump and use your fan to attack enemies up close range. However, as you progress through the game, you will be able to change up and add a few additional moves as you go, most notably in the form of transformations you could obtain, because being a game that revolves around the concept of origami, it did a pretty interesting idea by saying, let's have him fold into various things, including just a sheet of paper, which is generally useful for gliding over like wind drifts, for example. But there are certain points in the game where you might have to fight a corrupted animal boss, and by defeating that animal boss, you will gain the ability to transform into that animal and take on the abilities that animal provides. Though you'll also be able to get additional upgrades for those abilities as you go. Like early on, you get an ability, this is an easy one to say because it's not a spoiler, is that you get an armadillo. And as an armadillo, you gain the ability to roll. Rolling lets you traverse areas very quickly, but it will also allow you the ability to do a couple other things, such as like smash into enemies or destroy objects, things of that nature. The added benefit of these animal transformations is that for whatever reason, the game wrote it into the narrative that you are unable to hurt organic enemies with inorganic, or I guess with your paper attacks. So, for example, if you come across armadillo enemies in the game and you are in Hiro's base form, your fan attack does not affect them. It only affects the digital invaders. You need the animal transformations to fight these types of enemies. As you're doing the levels, in addition, like I said earlier, you will come across scenarios where you might need to, say, access an area. But to access this area, you might be gated off by a set of collectibles, like, I don't know, 10 pieces of paper. Because, funny enough, one of the currencies in this game is sheets of paper. But at this, you might have to do something like that, or a paper crane. And the idea behind that is if you get the ability you find the objects in question, you can then spend those resources at specific shrines to unlock the thing that's being gated. So, for example, it might be a situation where it's like a shrine that needs a paper crane statue. Once you are able to relieve that shrine of its requirement, you will then get access to a series of platforms to reach the next section of level. This could be sometimes things that are required for level completion. Other times it might be secret aspects of things you try to access by doing that. The goals in this game are just a good way to give you means to come back to levels and do them just right to get all the goals. It might be defeating a certain number of enemies, or finding a certain number of special rooms, or my least favorite by a mile is beating a level without getting hit. Why would that be such a big deal for a person who's generally all about playing difficult games? Well, that's simple. Probably the one gripe I have about this game is that it feels stiff. Everything feels stiff, like you're attacking. And it might just be a me thing, but attacking feels strangely stiff. Like I hit the button, and it does do what it's supposed to do, but I always feel like I feel slightly off on my movements. Like it doesn't feel like it's as responsive as I want. But I could also be doing that thing where, not rhythm games, but like a lot of action games require you to do like very quick inputs, and the game just kind of cuts out all the frames of the animation to get those movements done. So maybe that's something I'm experiencing here. But it doesn't make the game unplayable. In fact, I still have enjoyed the game quite a bit. The problem is just that when I'm going for that perfect run, there's always that one, oh crap, I didn't gauge the movement properly. And I got hit by that freaking laser that a jerkbag was going to shoot at me before I could stop him from hitting me with it. So screw that. But like I mentioned earlier, when you're outside on the main map, you're able to go, for example, to one of the side characters, support characters on the map, and trade in resources to get various artifacts that will give you various buffs, such as like enhancements to your attacks or new attacks, or concept art that can show up in a concept art gallery, and additional like health buffs and things like that. So that is what makes it generally worth it to get the MacGuffins on the levels, because that is what gives you access to those things once you've acquired the MacGuffins and the required resources to craft them. So all in all, hopefully I talked a fair bit about this game, but there's not a ton to describe because, in my opinion, it is pound for pound a rote action platformer, but with an origami twist. And I like it. The one gripe I had is the one that I mentioned, and that's all I'm going to really give, because other than that, the game was fine. I didn't have any performance issues or nothing of that nature when I played it. There were points where I thought maybe folding into a sheet of paper and floating under a gap was access to get to a secret room, but that's just all in my head. So, no, the game is fine. I enjoyed it. That's all there is to it.
$30. Give me a verdict.
I think it's a buy it.
Very good. Any other thoughts?
I try. Oobadoo.
Okay. Next up, Mandragora, Whispers of the Witch Tree, developed by Primal Game Studio, published by Knight's Peak Interactive, released September 4th on the Switch for $40 even. You are an inquisitor, and evil seeps into the Faeldom? I'll make believe I know what that word is. Through the tears in reality, defy your purpose and embark on a path that leads to the heart of the world's unraveling fate. From the towering majesty of the Crimson City, through festering darkness and into the horrors of entropy, what will you become at Journey's End? Pernell, we covered this one a little bit ago, and now it is on the Switch. Give a quick recap, and then tell us mainly how performance on the Switch holds up for this one.
Okay. Well, quick gist of the game is general is that you are an inquisitor in a world where witches are pretty much considered evil creatures, hunted and murdered by the government, but through a series of events, you basically absorb the essence of a witch and undergo a quest that will lead you to realize that your home and those who you have sworn to serve are not all they are cracked up to be. But before you can do any of that, you have to start out using, getting one of a series of classes in the game. So, for example, like a Nightshade, which is the one I chose on this particular play, which gives you access to like various poison attacks and traps, high stamina, high attack, very low defense. And then the one I used on the previous game that I played when I played on the original system was the Spellbinder class, which I like them because they started with a laser beam. Who doesn't want a laser beam? Screw that. I do. And once you choose that, and I do feel like these characters are all fairly different from each other as far as how they play by default, and also what your play style will be using these people. But basically, once you do this, you'll go about processing and exploring the world, which is a 2D side-scrolling Souls-like action platformer. You die, the gist. You die, you leave your essence on the ground, which is pretty much your spending currency for leveling up and the like, and for shopping. But you can find your souls on the ground, pick them up, bam, you're back in business. World exploration is a lot of fun in this game in regards to, just the different environments you can explore. The downside to it, though, you'll get used to as you play, is that the map is a 2D map, but it works in the sense of with layers where you have to go from the front end to the back end by hitting the X button. But I have this bad habit where as soon as I get lost in where the thing is supposed to be, so I have to mind myself, go here, stop, hit the layer button, scroll around there, go to the exit, hit the X button to go to the other layer, continue scrolling. I basically have to follow the path. If I just go back and forth, I get lost on my own damn map. So that can be a pain in the butt. I'm trying to think. I feel like I'm doing a lot of jumping around because I've reviewed the game before. But gameplay, as far as combat goes, it's very challenging, very similar, again, to like Souls like that you're already familiar with in that context. This is no different. Very tough game, but it's rewarding in a sense, too. Very fun to play. I do enjoy the ability construction, your basic attack and your sub attack and your abilities that go along with that. The fact that you can ultimately dual class or expand on your classes once you hit a certain level. So even though you might find yourself feeling like you might have made a mistake with your class you chose at the beginning of the game, just make it to level 25 and you'll be able to switch that out to something different and see what that has in store as far as those abilities are concerned. Game is, I don't know what else to say about it as far as the main game goes. I already gave it a solid buy it back in the day. That has not changed in even the remote slightest. However, you might be asking yourself, well, I guess you should be because that's the point of this damn review. How does it perform on the Switch? And I'll tell you, it honestly performs perfectly fine. The only thing that's weird about it is, well, it's not weird about it. I can actually ask you this question because I don't know. Was it produced for the Switch 1 and it just runs on the Switch 2?
It is a Switch 1 game, yes.
Okay, so I don't feel so bad then. If it was a Switch 2 game, I'd be like, what the hell is this? But
Switch
confirmation
1 and
confirmed.
The compatibility just says it's supported. Game behavior is consistent with Nintendo Switch.
Yes, the game performance, the game playing it is actually perfectly fine. I had no performance issues, no weird glitchiness, no concern to believe that I got the bad product as far as like the way the game plays goes. Now, visualies, again, it's a Switch 1 game, so you should not be surprised to hear that it pales in comparison visually to the Xbox version I reviewed before. However, the portable aspect of it is through the roof. That's what I wanted for. So I frankly don't particularly care about the visual difference between the two, solely in the idea that I wanted access to the game in a portable manner, and I didn't want to rebuy the game. And I think this game delivers on that very much so. So, in fact, I would say if you are the type that likes your games portable, but you're worried, will the game actually run very well on this other system? You'll be happy to know it runs just fine. It's not going to look as good, but again, you're a portable person. You know what you're getting into, and you won't care. So there you have it. Is there anything you would have a curious question about, Joe, in regards to this game that I might not have mentioned?
No, not really. The game clocks in at $40 even on the Switch. There's a deluxe edition for $50 that includes some pet followers, transmog sets, soundtrack, art book, and it says a Dark Ale quest, but looking at the Dark Ale quest on the Nintendo store right now, and it's just free. I don't know if that's a glitch or what, but jump on that shit now. The game's $40. Verdict.
Easy buy it recommendation. I think this game is a very solid hit, and it will likely end up being on a number of top games of this year. I believe anyway. I think it should be on a couple top games lists this year.
Very good. I Think we could cram one more in? Aki, you're quick at AFILs. Go Out of Hell's the last game to chat about before our interview, developed and published by AFIL Games. Released September 16th on the Xboxes and PlayStations for $5 each. In Go Out of Hell, you take on the role of a guardian goat responsible for guiding the souls of pets that ended up in the wrong place after death. Your challenge is to push and place these souls on sacred altars to restore order, exploring stages filled with lava rocks, marble columns, and unexpected traps. The gameplay follows the classic block pushing puzzle style, but with a special twist. Besides moving marble blocks and organizing the pets, you must also fill holes to clear paths through dangerous areas of hell. Each move demands strategy and patience, since a single mistake can cost all your progress. With 30 levels spread across 2 unique settings, the game begins in the fiery entrance of hell, full of bubbling lava, and advances to the imposing Temple of Hell, dark yet refined place with marble columns and flaming pyres. Relax, rethink your moves, and challenge your logic in an adventure that blends brain-teasing puzzles, infernal atmosphere, and plenty of charm in every stage. Aki, is there literally anything else to say about this game?
Just a tiny bit, but not much.
Go for it.
Unlike many of these games like this, when you push it, it doesn't go flying all the way off until it hits something. Instead, it just pushes it by one single block or one placement, which means it's significantly easier. There you go. That's the thing that people need to keep in mind. Basically, you just play as this goat who pushes giant square boxes into holes and pushes the souls of dead animals into what look like aim marks. But yeah, once all the animals are in each one of those marks, the level's over. The end. Very simple. What can I say? Yeah,
anything else?
That's it. Nope.
$5 verdict.
It's really easy. It's nice. It's cute. I think it's totally worth it. And if you like achievements, there you go. Fuck it. Why not?
Cool beans. All right. Horde, do you think you could get yours in 5 minutes, or should we save it for next time?
It would be pretty close. I'd probably be over by a bit.
Gotcha.
So yeah, probably next time.
All right. Well, we will. Well, how's my internet going, Red? That's not good. We will
if we need to, I can do another one.
Nah, fuck it. Okay. We're gonna take a quick break. I am going to hit the little girl's room, refill my drink, and we will be back with the interview with Julian Rice in just a few minutes. Does anyone have any final words to wrap up this portion?
No, I'm good.
I got nothing, so I'll be back. So I'll be seeing you next time.
Yeah, in like a minute.
What's that noise? Just a box.
Minute. Just like a minute. Welcome back, everyone. Thanks for sticking around. We got a lot more show to take care of, and with that, we are welcoming in Julian Rice of Rice Games. Julian, how are you doing today?
I'm doing great. It's 11 a.m. here in Tokyo, and excited to talk to you guys about all sorts of cool stuff.
Very good. First off, how's your Wednesday going so far?
It's great. Just woke up, had my coffee, did a little bit of work, and just getting ready to talk more about Shujinkou and stuff like that.
And you're starting your day with us. I am so sorry. For the people who don't know what Shujinkou is, give us the sales pitch. Tell us about this game.
Cool. Okay, so think of it like your classic Japanese role-playing game. And in addition to being able to play a challenging game that has a great story, music, characters, and all that stuff, you're also able to learn Japanese as you play. But as an option, it's been the hardest thing to kind of explain to people, unless I do it like I am now, through an explanation. But it's not supposed to be a learning game or an educational only game. It's meant to be a JRPG at first, with the added value of being able to learn a language as you play. So that's kind of our sales pitch.
What made you want to merge classic dungeon crawling RPG with language learning?
Great question. So before getting to that point, or that reason for making that decision, it really started with wanting to make video games in the first place. And that's thanks to my father introducing me to the Dreamcast when I was like 3 years old. I didn't even know how to hold the controller. It was like bigger than both of my hands combined. Right? And racing games were the first thing that got me started. After that, it was, 2D Mario platforming. And then I eventually started to like Japan. We can talk about that later. And I knew at the age of 10 I wanted to make a video game. And while my parents told me, hey, make sure you get a full-time job and get some experience before making your own studio, when I was in college, I was kind of studying computer science for programming, Japanese because I liked Japan, and a minor in entrepreneurship because eventually I wanted to make a company. And basically, Shujinkou is kind of like the culmination of everything that I was really putting my time and energy into. So linguistics also was part of the computer science major that I took at UCLA, and being able to teach a language that I had already achieved some degree of fluency in to people who don't know Japanese but kind of want to learn but find it really difficult was a really cool idea. And so I just had to do it at that point. My mom was like, don't do it. You have to join like EA or Nintendo or something. I'm like, no, I have to do it. So I ended up, with no skills or money, making the company, and Zoom 7 years later, and we're here with a game out on the market somehow.
How big did your team
somehow
get?
it's through your hard work.
Yeah. Could you say that again?
How big was did your team get?
Yeah, so it started off as me by myself, and then I tried to draw some art. I realized art's my worst skill of every skill any human can have, like in the history of skills.
I'm with you, man.
It's terrible. I'm so bad at it. So I looked for artists first. I know how to make music, but not at the level I wanted for this project. So I looked for composers after that. And for the time being, it was just artists and composers, and I did everything else. But eventually I realized, full length Japanese role-playing game is much more writing than, an average indie game that might take 10 to 20 hours to clear, especially if it's not story-driven. So I brought on writers after that, and then QA, because we had so many bugs, and I was such a terrible programmer back then, still not great right now, but better than before. And so brought in QA in 2021, I think. And that's basically how we assembled the team in total. I'd say everyone's a part-time contractor because I didn't have money to pay for employees because there's payroll and insurance and all that stuff. And so it was project-based. Hey, do this, I'll pay you that, thanks, kind of vibe. And there were 20 people or so overall. If you include people who interned or joined and left or were hired for one-off things like the logo animation for Rice Games, it would balloon up to maybe 25 to 30 people.
Very cool. This is something that I wish was around when I was a kid. Growing up in the Super Nintendo days, they didn't bring all the RPGs to America. We got Final Fantasy 2 and 3 not knowing they were 4 and 6, and that we missed half the games. They had stuff like Live Alive, or even Terranigma made it over to Europe, Bahamut Lagoon, all these games that we never got, that we were getting into the stages of emulation where people could check them out, but you couldn't read anything without a fan translation. And I think a game like yours, if that was around when I was a kid in high school, I would immediately be drawn to this game, just at the potential of beginning to learn Japanese so you can understand these import RPGs we might not have gotten over here.
I appreciate the kind words. I didn't have too many experiences of like seeing a Japanese game that I really wanted to play that wasn't in English, because most of them, I'm a little young, so forgive me, but they would be localized in English.
I'm an old fart,
within a year or 2 years. But for one example that stuck out to me, I guess I really like the 3DS, the Nintendo 3DS. I think it has some of the best JRPGs, like almost at the level of PS2 era. And when Fire Emblem Fates, this game that came after Fire Emblem Awakening, got announced, I was so obsessed. It was when I was in high school, and I just watched the trailers every single day. And when it came out in Japan, I was living in Taiwan at the time, going to an American school in Taiwan. So it was easier to get import games from Japan compared to, living in the US. So the price wasn't really that much of an issue, but I had to play it as soon as it came out. I played it in Japanese. I didn't know half of the kanji, like the complex symbols that were being shown. And unlike easier games like Pokemon or Yokai Watch, or I think some of the Dragon Quest games, they don't show you how to read the kanji. Like there's no helper for it. So I ended up spending like 70 or 80 hours on a 25-hour story just writing down the characters I didn't know. And then we didn't have like image recognition or ChatGPT or anything like that back then. So I would handwrite it on my computer with my trackpad and then figure out how to like say it. So I tried it. I tried to learn the language through the game that was only in Japanese, but that stuff was hard for sure.
Technology today blows my mind. I was looking at an Xbox 360 Japanese console lot because I have a Japanese Tetris game that I want to play, and it had a lot of games with it, and I obviously couldn't read who anything was, so I opened up Google Translate app, held the camera up to my phone, and it just translated in real time, and it blew my friggin' mind. I didn't know you could do that shit.
It's super useful.
That's so cool. I love where technology is going. When trying to teach the language in this game, you have many options for difficulty and for language learning. How do you determine how to adjust those difficulties and what goes in what?
Yeah, great question. So I would split it into two categories. One being the difficulty of the video game itself, like how strong the bad guys are and all that stuff. And then the other category is how advanced do you want the Japanese displays to be? And it was a really difficult process of figuring out how to not bombard the player with learning / educational elements to the point that it's like, oh, it's just another one of those educational games. I didn't want them to think that. So we started off with simple stuff like having the UI change when you're hovering over it or selecting it versus I guess having it like that would be better than, I don't know, having story elements change completely and causing the player to lose immersion in the experience. But one thing I did was talk to a professor at UCLA of Japanese person, and I did ask them to review some of the settings that we had back early in development, just to make sure that things would be relatively easy to understand for people who have no background in the language whatsoever. Because I know Japanese and I've studied it, it's a little bit difficult if you try to just put what you know in the game, but rather imagine what someone who doesn't know what you know and wants to learn If you can integrate that well, it comes along pretty nicely. So the answer is a little bit jumbled, but it was just iterating back and forth, talking to people who knew Japanese better than me, and also playtesting a lot, I think, were the main things that went into it. But the main focus, again, was not just only making you learn, but giving you the options to kind of customize your experience, right?
And I love how customizable it is. The more options in the game, the better, in my eyes. Just make it adaptable to everyone. It's good to see.
We did have... Oh, sorry. Go for it.
Go ahead.
I did want to say, we had one review, critic rip us apart for having so many options. So it's a double-edged sword. And
usually it's the exact opposite.
I know. They're like, these are unimportant or whatever. I'm like, maybe it's not the number of options we had. Maybe I just didn't organize it better. I'll do my best for the next game and have tabs or something so it doesn't overwhelm the player the first time. But I really took that to heart. You're like, oh, there's so many options. It's a red flag. I'm like, oh, I've never heard that before, but okay.
I've never heard that.
You can
either.
safely ignore that person. That person's stupid.
Yeah.
Okay.
As a matter of fact, once this goes live, if you ever see them post anything again, you can link directly to where I stated that they're stupid. I don't mind.
We're going to start a war with some other website, aren't we?
I don't care. If they're like, options, how dare you, then they can go fuck themselves. I don't care.
Honestly, I'm going to take a guess. I'm assuming the critic was a person, a specific, an individual, not a writer from a publication, right? Because that seems like a really weird, weird commentary from a review.
It was a writer from a publication, and I actually ended up chatting with the editor-in-chief because I really didn't think it was a fair review of the game. They only played through the first dungeon, which I don't think is representative of the 16 dungeons we have in the game. So even playing 8 would be better than 16. So
I'll be honest with you, that's where it gets a little interesting for me to even hear you say that, because time is precious. And I was like, well, I'm not sure I'm going to be able to do a review of the game, but I want to try the game so I can actually, engage in conversation when the time comes to discuss this game. And then that changed because I liked the game. It doesn't hurt that I had a hankering for a dungeon crawler at the time this came through as a thing to talk about. But I like the game. I think it's interesting, and I'll probably bring up elements of it that I like as we discuss further. But I have to ask this question right off the cuff. I probably play this game slower than most people, but... Yeah. I'm also on the second dungeon, but I'm also 15 hours in for my playtime. And the thing I wanted to ask is, how much further till I get skills? It reminds me of Dragon Quest VII, how it took forever to get to the job skill system there.
Yeah. Let me apologize for the pacing of the game. It's the biggest issue with the game, just flat out. The pacing is the worst problem. And I was 20 years old when I came up with the idea of, let's have 30 labyrinths in the game, and let me just build them all at once and release the game. It'll be the biggest JRPG. Not trying to make it the biggest JRPG ever, but it fit the story I wanted to tell. But obviously, Naruto, One Piece, all these big, long-running manga/anime, they don't release all their episodes at once, right? They release it every week, or they have arcs that have gaps of time between them. And so near midway into development, I was like, I'm having so much trouble managing 30 different environments at once. How can we break this down? Same thing with Star Wars, right? Lord of the Rings, I believe they're all trilogies or series of trilogies. And so I ended up splitting the game into 3 parts, which I am 100% grateful for. My father gave me that suggestion. And the problem is now skills don't get introduced in the second out of 30, but rather the second out of 10 story labyrinths, which is so slow to the player. And so that's a mistake on my front. And you unlock it in the third area of the second labyrinth. to answer your
thank
question.
God. I'm telling you, I was like, where is
It's really slow. It's really slow. But the next game, I'll...
Oh, sorry, good. I was wanted to mention before, while I was on this point, though, I will say that even though the skills are not accessible yet, I will say the way you engage combat up until that point by using the 3 weakness system and trying to get the names of the monsters spelled using the characters you found in orbs throughout your experience up to that point. I don't know why, but there's something oddly completionist addictive about that. Like, I got these new characters. Can I spell what's this month? Oh, it was a Wani. I have it. Oh, I'm missing the Wa, but I'm coming back when I get it. Awesome. I like that very much.
I'm so glad to hear that. It's so awesome.
I didn't want to cut you. I actually wanted to put that out there so people weren't just like, this guy's trashing on the skills thing. But no, the combat's still fun. It's just I want skills really too.
I think Aki wanted to say something.
Yeah, when we were talking about all the options and stuff that were in it, one of the things I really appreciate in the options is the various languages that you can have an option for. And for me, Romanji, having that in there is, I love that. Because most games, they're like, well, Japanese, and it's literally just Japanese symbols. And I know more Romanji than I'll ever likely know katakana or any of that other stuff. So I really appreciate that that's in there, because that's what I'm familiar with.
That makes me really happy to hear too. We have some gamers, like people who also purchased and played the game, say, oh, we prefer no Romaji so that we can actually practice. I'm like, no, but we need people who don't know how to read the Japanese to be able to see the Romaji and, pronounce it but just by looking at it, like, oh, hi, or ie, right? Those kinds of simple things. So having the options just allows everyone to be happy, pretty much, except for that one critic, sadly.
Doesn't matter.
That one critic that was clearly wrong.
I don't like the ability to choose.
Choices scare me.
That's what I have to assume it was.
Might have been. How big was the script for this game? Because you see a lot of indie games come out, they'll be like a 5-hour, 8-hour experience. Yours is friggin' 80 hours. How big is this script?
There's a lot of dialogue.
Yeah, sorry about that too.
Don't apologize. No, don't apologize. I'm just commenting. There's a lot of dialogue.
We see so many shorter games these days. It's good to see a meaty one.
Yeah, it's this overall script's over 1.5 million words. So I think it matches Kingdom Come Deliverance 2, which had a similar word count. But it was just the writers and me just outputting a bunch of stuff. And it's not perfect. I know there are problems with it, but we really put everything into it, and our love for the characters and the world is definitely reflected in like nearly all the dialogue in the game. Though I will admit, we had that kind of problem of this. We wanted each character to kind of voice their opinion regarding a certain situation happening in the story. So maybe there's like a monster. So how would Shu say something, or how would Toshiro say something, or whatever? And in the end, we had a few circumstances where they would say kind of similar things, and it would read like you're just reading the same message spoken by different characters, and it was just a little bit annoying. Like I know we encountered that, and that's something that we want to improve on next time. Honestly, there's so many things to improve on, but I have no regrets. Like I worked like all-nighters pretty much every night for 6 years, because I also had a full-time job after graduating, and somehow got this thing out there, somehow convinced PlayStation and Nintendo for the dev kits, and ported it and got it out, and finally able to get some feedback from people, right, who put their important time and money into the game, and hopefully we can iterate on this and make the next game even better.
I don't know if Aki's time is important. I mean, she has it, but...
Yeah, my time's absolutely unimportant. But at least I know it. It is what it is.
The game launched on Steam and PlayStation. It is coming soon to the Switch as well. Any possibility of Xbox plans?
Yeah, so I actually talked to Microsoft about this a couple of months ago. After launch on PS5 and Steam settled down a little bit, I was like, hey, we can get this on Steam, Switch and Xbox. That's another extra platform to potentially make money off of. Plus, Game Pass could be a good way to get exposure for the game. And we passed all their initial verification / submission processes, and they gave me this contract to sign for porting the game on their platform, and I didn't like the contract, so I haven't signed it yet. That's pretty much all. It was a little bit binding to the intellectual property and how much they kind of own. You wouldn't expect them to have any ownership over a port, right?
No,
because you already made the game. But I was like, hey, can we talk about this clause in the contract? And they're like, oh yeah, here's this legal team to talk to. I'm like, oh gosh. So I haven't followed them up on that yet, but if we can get that one clause kind of clarified or rewritten or adjusted, because I don't think the same contract is used for every single company. I think they have different templates and structures depending on what they estimate to be the company's size / how much they think the company will care about the legal contract they give them. And the legal thing is just something I'm super, super careful about. My father is a lawyer, and I've made mistakes in the past with contracts for the game, so I'm very careful about that kind of stuff. But if we can get that resolved, I will port that thing so fast you wouldn't believe. It will just drop on Xbox probably within 2 or 3 months of receiving the kit if I can work hard.
Very nice. Well, fingers crossed that happens for you. Carnage in chat, tell Keith to get on this one. Aki, what kind of questions do you have on this one? I know you put a bunch of time into it.
Well, one of the things I was wondering was how many dungeons there were, but that's already been answered. With the demo lasting so long, how long are the other dungeons? I figured they'd all be about the same length, but it seems like later ones seem to be shorter instead of longer, as I was expecting. I figured they'd get longer and harder as they went on, but that with Joe saying it's an 80-hour game and the demo's 20 hours, it was said that's there's a big difference.
It's our first time releasing a game of this scale, so I didn't know how long all the players around the world would take to make progress through it. In my internal clock, I was expecting each labyrinth to take 5 hours or so. So Sanrin would take 5, and then the second one that Pernell's on would take another 5 or so. So we have 10 story labyrinths and 6 optional labyrinths. So if we just take the story labyrinths and we multiply it by 5, it would be 50 plus all the the story dialogue and maybe a couple quests, not all of them because we have 200 quests in the game, but just a couple, and you'd probably land around 80 hours. And that doesn't include the time of interacting in the towns and all that stuff and shopping for items and so forth. So 80 was kind of the image I had in mind, but based on player data, a lot of people spend 10 or 15 hours in the bamboo forest. And
I feel better about myself. Thank you for saying that.
Yeah, I need to fix that for the next one just to make it feel a little shorter. In Etrian Odyssey, the series that I love and have been pretty inspired by, generally the time is 10 hours per labyrinth, which is 3 areas. And there's far less story. It's more grind heavy and battle oriented. Their combat system's more complex than ours. And I didn't want our players to spend 10 hours per labyrinth because Etrian Odyssey is pretty niche and not really played by neutral / casual gamers. But then I look at the data now; it's like 10 to 15 hours. I'm like, oh shoot, what did I do wrong? So,
I will say, at least I feel like, and it might be worth going to like a broader spectrum of inquiry than just my rambling, but I always thought a lot of the reason why Etrian Odyssey was more as niche as it wasn't so much because of the length of like dungeons and such, but that people would always try to say that the game is a lot harder than the average dungeon crawler that people would want to play or something. And I'm saying this is the guy who loves Etrian Odyssey as well, so you're in good company here.
Awesome.
But,
Awesome. Yeah, I think it's the difficulty is there because if you just try to speedrun it, you'll get destroyed by enemies, right? So I do think there's a bit more of that rinse and repeat, like travel as far as you can, get almost killed by the enemies, retreat back to the town, sell your drops, make money, and then buy better equipment, and then rinse and repeat a couple times. And I wanted us to have that for Shujinkou, but not as many times, if that makes sense. So I was expecting it to drop down in time played.
So, like, one question I wanted to ask you about your influence of Etrian Odyssey, which was definitely clear as I played this, was, well, first of all, good choice, but was it that you designed this game with the expectation of, like, you basically started designing the game and you know what would work for this game? Etrian Odyssey, because I love this game. Or was it more like you were telling yourself, I'm going to design a game one day. It's going to be like Etrian Odyssey because I love Etrian Odyssey, and then you built this game around that blueprint.
It was kind of a sudden thing. Basically, I fell in love with the series in high school around the same time as Persona, Shin Megami Tensei, all those other Japanese role-playing games. And initially, I didn't know how to code really well or at all, so I just watched YouTube tutorials like most indie game starter developers. No shit in that at all. And the most tutorials that would come out would be like platformers, and I like Mario platformers, like 2D platformers. They're a little bit simple in nature compared to 3D games, but they're amazing and they can be really fun. So the game Shujinkou was originally a 2D platformer. We showcased at the 2019 Tokyo Game Show, tried to do a Kickstarter, never done that before, and that failed, right? So we had, I think the goal was 45K and we hit like 35K, like pretty close to the edge. But I'm glad it didn't work out because that allowed me to look at the game in at the time its current state and say, hey, this is not going to work. Our team is not well equipped for like a Hollow Knight kind of game with hand-drawn animations and smaller characters, if that makes, like, not humanoid characters, super human-like humanoid characters. So let's swap out the genre. I still have a story I want to tell. This world of Shujinkou is going to be amazing. We just need to find the right medium for it. And at that point, due to my, love for Etrian Odyssey, I just started playing around with, what if we did first person, move around in the grid kind of thing. And that was, I think, October of 2019. October 2019. And from there, it just became a dungeon crawler. And I had so much more fun developing it because I liked the genre. Like, I can't imagine having to work this hard on something that you're not super fully in love with, right? Like, if I had to make a Street Fighter type fighting game, I really am bad at those games, even though they look great and the music's awesome. But if I was told to like make something like that, I wouldn't have the motivation or drive to be able to finish it.
Well, therein lies the rub of you being able to have your own studio. You get to choose what you make instead of having some guy lording over you, telling you to make something that you're not passionate about.
Yeah, so I love that, by the way. It's a good feeling.
So, of the characters in this game, who would you say is your favorite and why?
Oh, that's such a tough question. Do you want
choose between your children?
A dude or a chick, or both?
It's all whatever you want. Open-ended question.
Yeah, there's so many. Okay, well, we have dozens of characters, and everyone is multi-dimensional. Like, I made it a rule for our writers not to have any single-dimension characters. I don't know if that was a good decision in retrospect, but everyone has multiple aspects to them. I think Tsunako, the chick, the fisher woman, is a fan favorite. I do think Americans would like that kind of chick. I'm half American, so I can say that, by the way. But I feel like she gives that kind of strong, badass chick vibe which I really like. But if I had to choose, I mean, I like Shu a lot. I didn't try to put myself in his character, but it's easier to empathize with a character that has had similar experiences to you. And so by having him have two siblings, like I have two siblings, he's the middle child, but I'm the eldest in my family. So there's a little bit of a difference there, but being able to kind of create that dynamic that he has with his younger sister and older brother, showing that he's not the perfect samurai, because there are moments in the story where he's like weak or not the badass you'd expect him to be, and other people who have more experience in navigating those circumstances are able to kind of lead him and help him out too. And that's an aspect of the multidimensional side that I really like. And so Shu is pretty much up there. I have to go with Ko though, like our princess. She's as badass as it gets. She's introduced pretty late into the story. My fault with the pacing again, but she'll appear in Labyrinth 5. Jin appears in Labyrinth 3. He's a fan favorite and team favorite. Like, people on my team love him because he's adorable, little furry kitsune, and loves eating sushi. And he was kind of like, has amnesia, like that kind of story trope. So he doesn't know much about the world, despite his name meaning human. So he's gonna see a bunch of stuff happen in the story, and also hear a bunch of phrases that we use that don't mean what they mean literally, and he's gonna be like, "What do you mean by that? Like, I could eat a horse. There are no horses around Shu," or that kind of humor. Where's the horse? Right? So that kind of stuff.
Oh, God, kind of like Drax and Guardians of the Galaxy just takes things hyper literally.
Oh yeah. But in a very curious manner too. Like, I want to learn more about this world kind of vibe. So I think Shujin and Ko all really strongly balanced. Probably my favorite characters. Yeah, but we have so many good characters. I'm pretty proud of how we've developed them.
Aki, who's your favorite female?
It's one of the starting villagers, actually, and I don't remember their name. They're just a background character. She's just really hot.
Wow.
Is it Sugi?
So shallow.
Awesome. What color's her hair?
I don't remember. It's been
Now you gotta load the game and look, Aki.
No, it's okay. But
oh no, I have the game loaded. I'm just not in town. I'm in a dungeon killing things. So the thing is, I don't want to go until I've cleared the dungeon. That's just how I play, which is not the way to play this game, I don't think, realistically. But
God, no, it's
that's
not.
how I like to play it.
It's a challenge.
Actually, that reminds me. Speaking of that, while Aki is looking for her character, I'm guessing it's Sugi though. Dude, well played on your take on the FOEs, because I have not played every Etrian Odyssey, so if it's already in one, you can let me know. But the fact that you created ones that don't care about your movement, that was very heavy for me when I was trying to map out or make a route for where I wanted to go. I was like, this thing ain't stopping. He's just coming after me. Was that something that was only in this game and you came up with it?
Pretty much. There is no such thing in Etrian Odyssey of a giant monster that just moves however it wants, because the code is ridiculous, right? You have a time-based, like a turn-based labyrinth, and somehow you need to have the entity move and detect the player and kind of chase it as the player moves in real time. So the only game that I kind of was a little inspired by, but I didn't actually play the game. I owned it. I buy so many games that I don't play, like everyone else here, probably.
You're here.
But yeah, I bought, it's called Mary Skelter, and what was really cool, from all the trailers I watched, because I was obsessed with these kinds of games in high school, there would be these like nightmares that would chase you in the map in real time. I think if you ran into them, the battle would start there, like right in the labyrinth, rather than transitioning to a battle stage. So I think that's different, but the fact that they could chase you, and I think there was like a distance marker too, like, oh, it's 30 meters away from you, or it's 50 meters away from you. That was really terrifying just to watch. And I wanted to add something like that. So we kind of changed it up and made it work for Shujinkou with our own ideas too. I'm glad you like it. I don't
absolutely
think everyone loves it, but yeah.
Well, that's just it, though. You're not supposed to like it. You're supposed to like it while hating it at the same time. No one ever says, I love dying in my favorite games. You do.
Yeah.
I mean, it depends on the game, but...
Well, I guess that is true. Like, Death End requests, people probably say, like, dying in those, but I'm not that guy. Wolf.
I mean, I love Super Meat Boy, and I've died probably 10,000 times in that game trying to get all the trophies, but it's just a game. Just an example. Yeah.
You're on the right show. Every game you've named so far has been a banger in my book, so I'm waiting for you to just name, like, an absolute dump of a title so I can go, oh, there's the split. That's pretty on point.
I mean, maybe we all have just good taste in video games.
That is true, but there's something to be said about that even still, because there are so many games that come out nowadays that to still have that level of commonality on library of likes and dislikes, I feel like it's rarer than it used to be by a mile.
I agree. Yeah.
Hockey's slowing down. I just bought you a ton of time. Who is it?
As I said,
she's still fighting in the dungeon, man. She's not leaving.
Yeah, I'm not.
She's got shit to kill.
I am absolutely not leaving this dungeon until it is done. Because that's how I roll, yo. It is dumb, and I do not suggest it, but that is how I function. Poorly.
Wait, so you did the first dungeon without ever leaving it?
Yeah.
Now that amazes me because you can't make sushi in the first dungeon. You have no healing magic in the first dungeon. So you're telling me you did the whole thing with only the healing items you found in the dungeon and never left?
Yeah.
On normal mode?
Whatever the easiest mode is what.
There we go. Better. I feel better. Like, wait a minute. On normal mode,
I put everything on easy because I don't want to. Like, I had enough trouble just getting around the giant guys. They regularly ended up boxing me in because I wanted to go everywhere, and I kept foolishly being like, I can totally beat one of those. I just need to have a little luck. I totally could not beat one of those.
Well, I'm glad to know on easy they still gave you the business, which that's a good segue to another thing I think is both something I like but also hate in this game, and that is what you did for running. That is, my God, during a battle, a freaking monster shows up during your battle because you couldn't kill the monsters in time, and now you got to run. It's like, we better answer this trivia question. Oh my God. Yeah. I remember missing a trivia question, and the monster it asked me about was in the battle with me, and I was in such a panic I hit the wrong button. It was rough.
Yeah, see,
how many tails does the Neko have? Ooh.
Wow.
I was panicking. I'm telling you, I was like, it's right there.
That's really funny.
It took me a while to understand things like the ornithological weaknesses and stuff. I think that could probably be explained a little better in game, because it took me a while to notice that under the enemy's name was character symbols that I was using to actually hit them with, and they would get filled out. I didn't realize that for hours. So I was like, I don't understand the ornithological weaknesses at all. I was like, I just don't get this. And a big part of that was because the game just didn't quite explain that, hey, under the character's name that you see is a bunch of question marks. When you hit with the right thing, which you'll know what the right thing is because it's part of their name, then the character shows up, and that's the weakness.
I will say this, though. I will say this. I think this is where Aki and I differ a bit, because I do think, if anything, I feel like they kind of hammered it into your head with a nail. There was a point when pretty much the first battle you get into after getting a set of orbs, where they do the thing where they give you the splash screen and they display, this is what this is referring to. And they talk about the day of the week and the ontological symbols. And it's essentially showing you a picture of one of them being revealed at the time. The challenging part for me was just getting, because for all the anime I've watched over the years and all the Japanese games I've played over the years, it was just accepting that, whereas we're used to letters being vowels, which, by the way, good choice on the first set, just being A-E-I-O-U. You rarely use them, from what I could tell, but it did a good job transitioning from pretty much, I guess, the bias I've had with A-E-I-O-U being our base set of vowels. They are single letters, but then every other set is combinations of them, making up sounds like sh or wow or something like that. By getting those things down, plus the first time you accidentally get one and go, what the hell is that? It gave me a weakness, but it's not elemental. Like, that to me is what connected all the dots. But the training is definitely there. There's a whole splash screen about for it.
Okay, so I just want to say the biggest problem with the splash screen / tutorials is I kind of agree with Aki on some front, because we've gotten a lot of people complain about this, like not in a negative way, but just like it's not clear. And we don't have interactive tutorials in the game because it's like the one thing I just could not figure out how to code. Oh, hold this button. Oh, nice, you held the button. Now move your stick to this thing. Oh, you held this stick to this thing. And then let go. Oh, like you selected this orb. Like that kind of interactive thing would be what I really wanted to implement, but I just didn't know how. And so,
would you be able to do a thing where you meet a guy in a dungeon and he is semi-familiar with these orbs, and he does kind of like how Pokemon does with the first Pokemon catch, where it's like the guy's doing the battle. You're not doing anything, but he's doing the battle while talking you through what he's doing. So you kind of see the step-by-step of it. You could do something like that where it's like, okay, I am fighting an Usagi here, and it's like, okay, you have this. I'm going to use this right now because I want to get an advantage. Watch what I do. And he just shows him do it, and it clicks, and then the person's watching goes, oh, learn by seeing it in action. That triggers it. And then it's like the next battle, you do it yourself.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, I'd want to do
would that be hard to code?
Monkey see, monkey do. I am just that level of stupid. That might work.
Jesus, Aki.
Hey, at least I can admit to it.
Fair.
Just having,
but you got Aki's seal of approval on the idea.
Could help.
Yeah,
it's something we want to fix for the next game for sure.
Yeah. Are you still at all doing any excess work on this game, or is this as done as it's going to do, and it's all to whatever patch you're going to put for it? Are you done and dusted for doing anything extra with this game, or what exactly?
Yeah, so we're working on monthly patches just to address certain bugs and issues that players have been encountering, and sometimes they'll offer some quality of life feature suggestions in which I may or may not handle it, but have been handling it. I think since release in February, I've implemented / fixed at least 150 things that at least half of those were requested or detected by players. So
I can make some suggestions if you'd like.
Of course. No guarantee about implementing it, but always open ears.
Yeah, I would like a mechanic to where we could set how long it takes for the day-night cycle to go through. Because I know because again, I don't leave the dungeon because I want to go around and collect all of the things and kill all the things because I'm that type of person. There's all the different areas where you can like mine or pick up resources and stuff, and they refill every day. But it'd be cool if in some of the more larger dungeons, if we could hit all of those before the new day arrived. So we would clean those out the next day, could clean them out again. Because I've noticed in the dungeons I've been in, the large ones, like the very first one, I wasn't able to do that in at all. I wasn't even close to hitting that. So it would be nice if we could change just how quickly the day-night cycle switched. If that's at all possible, that would be great. Or maybe how often the resources reappear, because apparently there's differences between what shows up during the day and what shows up at night. I haven't noticed any of those differences yet. Probably because I just grab everything immediately. So I don't know how regularly things actually switch between day and night, or if it's like, oh, you can get some rare resources that are different between the two, or if most of the standard stuff that I get usually seems to be about the same between them. So it'd be cool if it reset, so you could grab morning stuff and then reset for the nighttime stuff as well. That'd be really cool, just so if you need some items, you can hopefully more quickly get a hold of
Ginger. The ginger.
Oh, yes, ginger. Yeah, that's a great suggestion. We actually have some items I added, I think it was like a month before the release in February, where you might not have access to all variants, but if you buy them, you can set the time in the labyrinth to the time you want. So if it's dusk and you want to set it to night, you can use that item. It costs like 400 yen, and it will shift the time to night, and so forth. So it's useful for farming like enemies at a specific time if the quest requests that you defeat an enemy that more often appears during the dusk. And you can find this at Daisuke's store in the field item section.
I saw that, actually. I just didn't pick up what it meant exactly. It sounded like it's like you hallucinate the time of day. That's what it described it as.
Yeah, I mean, I don't do the weed stuff these days because I'm in Japan, but basically I thought maybe you drink this liquid or something and you get kind of high, and then the time just passes, and then when you sober up, it's the time you want. That's kind of like the image behind those items.
It's okay. I'll do enough weed stuff for all of us. I got you.
I assume you guys are open to that kind of stuff, so yeah.
Yeah, we're square. I mean, I'm the squarest person on the show, and even I've done it before, so... I mean, I thought the person who gave it to me was trying to cook me and eat me, but yeah, that's another story. A funny story. But no, but I really thought they were going to. I was hesitant to eat any further food because they were fattening me up.
I'm glad they didn't eat you for now.
Me too. Though I would have been very nutritious.
Probably, yeah.
Maybe.
Alrighty then.
I'm gonna shift the mood a little bit. I wanted to give a shout out to your opening screen, the dedication to your mother. That hit me really hard. I've known too many people that we've lost to cancer. One of our favorite kitties we lost to cancer 2 years ago, and it just, fuck cancer, man. It sucks.
You're here to that. Lost my mom to it last year too. So solidarity, sir.
Thanks. Yeah, it's hard for sure.
Absolutely.
I thought it was a beautiful opening. So,
thank you. I wanted to get the game out before she passed, and she fought harder than almost pretty much everyone I know. Like, you're supposed to die in 6 months from her, whatever it's called. My English is slipping my mind.
Was it a stage 4 version of a cancer?
Yeah, for colon cancer. So I think it was like 6 months, and she managed to get like 3 years, and she got out of it for a period of time, and then it came back. Like, it's pretty bad. I mean, I was like juggling my full-time software engineering job and taking care of her in the hospital, and also drawing those damn maps that you guys are loving work, right? So, and the chemo is just brutal. Like, I'd have to help her walk, and she'd throw up overnight, and I'd have to like help with that, and then get back to like work/sleep, and that continued for a couple months. But overall, it was just do everything you can. I did manage to get a photo with her before she passed, wearing the company T-shirt, barely.
Oh, that's really cool. That's really
beautiful.
Cool.
Yeah, but she said if I put that picture public, she'll kill me. So I'm not putting it public. She doesn't look great in it, but but she managed to wear it, and that was like 2 or 3 weeks before she passed. And I think about her every day still, and it does bother me that I can't tell her about the successes that this game and my team and I have achieved, even though it's not like I don't know, Expedition 33 or a Hollow Knight type of popularity. I'm fully independent from my full-time job. I've made more money with the studio than my full-time job salary by a lot. And
very cool.
I can just work on my own projects moving forward and connect with people around the world who either want to learn Japanese or want to play a fun game like you guys. So it's been really awesome, and I'm grateful. It just sucks that I can't talk to her about it,
Yeah. But at the end of the day, you know that she would have very much been proud of you. So you may not be able to tell her, but you know she would have loved you. You should have loved your successes that you're experiencing right now.
Yeah, she was so against the company at first, and then I debuted at the Tokyo Game Show with my garbage platformer, and she was posting that stuff everywhere on Facebook. Look at my son, my eldest son, killing it at the Tokyo Game Show. I'm like, Mom, this game looks like ass. She's like, you're by your own company. I'm like, you said you didn't want me to make one. She's like, well, things change. I'm like, okay,
that's your company's ass.
Yeah, basically.
That's awesome, man. I actually, this is probably my favorite part of the interview right here. It's a wonderful thing to hear.
Yeah, you can disable it now, though. We had some people complain about it appearing every time, and while I disagree with that, just wait for a few seconds, guys. I understand some people just want to jump right into the game, so after you view it at least twice, an option will come to disable it for future showings, and you can also go in the settings to disable it.
Something about that seems especially just mean in the sense, like, how many people have ever seen complain about seeing company logos splash across the screen unskippable? Like, I don't know. But it is a pretty that you put the option in there, but it seems a little harsh.
Pernell, you're going to hear the EA Sports logo, and you're going to like it.
It's in the game. I had no idea.
Like people complain about that. That's crazy.
Oh, man.
Horror Acolyte, did you have any questions you wanted to ask?
I think my biggest question was semi-answered. So it was going to be, since the game was in development for so long, at any point or at what point did you maybe hit a wall and was like, oh man, I just need to scrap this, like this isn't going anywhere, or kind of like lost faith in what you're doing? But you kind of explained the Tokyo Game Show where you switched genres, and maybe that was kind of a turning point. But was there any other points where maybe that happened?
Yeah, that was the one that you mentioned is the biggest pivot point. But in development of the Dungeon Crawler itself, we had plans to create 6 minigames, one for each partner. That was the most disgusting stuff. I really don't want to just make entire minigames for each character moving forward. But the design for those minigames, like, what should we actually be teaching? I scrapped code 3 or 4 times. Like, just couldn't figure out exactly what I wanted to do. I didn't lose motivation, like, we can't release this game because of this problem. It wasn't that bad, but it was the game's potential release is really being delayed by my inability to figure out what is going to work best for these characters' minigames. And in the end, I'm pretty happy with like 3 or 4 of the 6 minigames. I think 2 of them might be like misses, which is fine, like as long as people forgive and forget, maybe. But in the future, I expect us to encounter more problems like this, like more challenges like this. And it's just a matter of either locking in and doing what you said you'd do in the past, or having an open mind and making that adjustment. You can't do either of them too much, or else you're going to end up never finishing the game, right? So lock in on certain things, be open to other things being changed. Hopefully that answers the question.
For sure, yeah.
Very good. I know we're coming up to close to an hour. Aki, Pernell, Horde, did you have any last questions you wanted to sneak in at the end? I'll let you think quick. I wanted to get one out quick. Can you explain the change in pricing for the Switch version compared to Steam and PlayStation, and whether or not those changes will be made to the other versions.
Of course. So in regards to pricing, it's really expensively priced. I understand that, and we've gotten completely dunked on by a lot of Steam players, which I read all the messages. Some of them are actually pretty mean and makes me sad, but
Damn.
alas, my feelings aside, I don't think we did a good job. I don't think we continue to do a good job of marketing how large the game is, how expensive it is, and the fact that we're effectively releasing 2 games at once. I thought it would be, again, 80 hours, but based on player data, it's really reaching into the 150 for the main story plus quests, right? So my misestimation there has led to people looking at the game expecting like a 40 or 50, maybe 80 hour, like mid/slightly good experience for a whole $60 is, I can understand why there's frustration there. And for the Switch version, we're effectively splitting the 2 games into 1 game at a time, but they take place immediately after each other. So I think Pernell said something about like 10 or 15 hours already in the game at least, and still in the second dungeon, but there are 5 story dungeons in the first half, plus the 3 optional dungeons. So you should still be able to get a good 40 to 60 hours of play, including mini games and the quests and the bonding system and a bunch of other systems that we have for $29.99. And if you like it, you can just get the second game, right? And if you don't like it, or you don't want to get it until you clear the first half, that's completely fine. You get to play the Genya arc, which is the story about Shu saving his homeland from the Akuma. So that's kind of an explanation for why things have been split. In regards to whether this will be applied to PS5 and PC, I'm open to the idea. However, I need to talk to each respective platform on how to implement it, because at that point you'd need to have a new DLC be created for the second half of the game, and then you need to adjust the first game so that people who purchased the game before X date have the second half already attached, and then people who buy it after the date only get the first half, right? So there needs to be some backtracking logic, and that has to be done for both PS5 and PC. So if Switch sells really well, we can totally look into it.
I wonder if they let you do that thing. I've seen certain games on Steam get delisted where the page will still exist, but you can't actually purchase the actual product. They might be able to do something like that with you, where people who already bought it will be accessing the re-download from the defunct page, but everybody else would be going to the new page, which has, the $30 one. And at worst, unless you explain it in the description, people might go, why is this one cheaper than the one that got decommissioned? And well, because we split it.
Yeah. We'd lose our wish lists and stuff like that too, so we have to be careful about that too.
Pernell, final questions.
If you, obviously you're doing well, so that means you're going to continue making games. If you weren't doing follow-ups to this, or you took a break between them to diversify or whatever, what other genre do you think you'd want to dip your toe into?
Great question. I love racing games, so if I had programmers other than myself, a racing game of some sort would be awesome, like Mario Kart type, or Need for Speed type, or Forza type, right? All sorts of racing games. I love them all. I also love party games, like Mario Party is great. So whether it uses Shujinkou IP for our characters playing like a party game, or a completely new IP,
you can get kart racing.
Shujinkou.
Yeah, exactly, right? I totally am inspired by Mario in that respect. I do think our characters are cool and likable enough that they can be fun to play with in other medium, like other genres. So that would be other types of video game projects to work on. Also Fire Emblem, I love Fire Emblem. So those like SRPGs, strategy role-playing games where you move your units like in chess, that would be really cool to implement as well. But outside of video games, I mean, I'm talking to people in Japan about like short anime, manga collaborations Movies are really expensive, but I'm talking to one place about potential prep in like the next 4 or 5 years. So I do want to expand the universe beyond video games over the course of time.
Well, that'd be cool. You could have your own Naruto. Like, well, Shujinkou's anime is going spanning 15 years. Shujinkou Shippuden.
Yeah, exactly.
You'll never outlive the SML podcast.
I'm your host, Joe.
Horac final question on your end.
Pernell just asked the one I was going to ask.
Oh, well. Fuck you then. Aki, do you have any final questions? And do they involve the swimsuit DLC? Aki?
No. No. Fuck you. What is the highest level you can get in the game?
99.
Okay, and what should people be hitting by the time they actually finish the game? Because I know some games there's a very wide difference between those numbers.
I'd say for the story, 75 to 80.
Oh, okay.
I know on average it's like 60s. Like once you hit level 60s, it's like, oh, I'm in the end game. At least for Atlas games. But if there are 99 levels, why doesn't the story end around like 80? Is what I thought to myself. And so
very fair.
I estimate like 6 to 8 levels per labyrinth, maybe 8 to 10. But based on our data, a lot of players who do all the quests are over leveled. So maybe the quests are a little too good for EXP. But we have a bunch of level 99 players and they're having no problem on normal difficulty. So most of our players play on easy and painless though.
I mean, easy is nice and easy, so I cannot blame them for picking that. That is a great one to choose.
Well, normal is actually pretty hard because that's inspired by the Etrian Odyssey series, which I'm sure Pernell's like, yeah, normal is not a cakewalk at all. It's not.
It is not a cakewalk. It is not a cakewalk.
It's kind of challenging. But since the story is going to continue in the sequel, I think we're going to go with the players, like the characters starting from level 100 in the next game. Just adding the 1-0. Yeah, so that there's a sense of progression. I think Legend of Heroes, Trails of Cold Steel, and a couple other like big JRPGs have
still batting 100 over there. Still doing it.
Yeah, their numbers are pretty big. So
I like how sequels will always struggle to find ways to make you lose your levels and your abilities. And I just want to see a game like, oh shit, I tripped over a rock and I lost everything. How did that happen? Just the dumbest thing possible and just all your powers are gone.
I would like to ask since Horror Acolyte did not have a question, I like to pilfer that question and ask one more question.
Go for it.
What would you say you wish you knew at the beginning of this project that you now know having completed it?
Something that I wish I knew at the start, now that I'm at this current point in time?
Yeah, absolutely.
That's a great question. I think... Well, I have no regrets about the decisions I made because I always put everything in for each decision. So in regards to like regrets or I should have done this, like I don't have any neutral or negative feelings. I'm only positive about that. But if I were to do it again with the knowledge I have, I would first of all improve the pacing, right? Like realize that players don't want to go through 4 or 5 floors of labyrinths to unlock skills, right? And the dialogue also being a little too heavy, tutorials, like all the issues that I think are present in the game, I don't have any regrets about them being there, but if I could go back and fix it, I would. And I think that's what the point of making future games is, right? You basically learn from what was not great, and then you do better and better. So
100%. That's
also,
a good
it's
answer.
expensive. Money.
Also good answer. Money.
Yeah. Like I was paid $0 to do all of the story code, design, management, etc. Yet it still was like 6 digits of my savings.
Damn.
To pay the team.
Ow.
Yeah, so if you factor in my time and years, it would probably go into the 7 digits. But I don't really think about like how much money would have cost for me to make it, like for me to be paid to make it, because that's already like in the past and I already sunk the time in. So what matters is with the money that's coming in from sales, am I able to live comfortably, right? And make the next games and so forth. And the answer to that right now is not like an astounding yes, but it's closer to yes than no. And with the Switch release coming out, I expect it to go into a comfortable yes.
That's awesome to hear. That's great news. And a good answer.
Very good. All right. Well, Julian, I want to thank you so much for coming on, hanging out with us. Where can people keep up to date with you and what you are doing?
Yeah, so we have a company website, ricegames.net. I want to buy the .com one, but it's like $5,000 US. So for now, just take your trip to ricegames.net. Usually we post news on there. If you want to get in touch with me directly, julian.rice for Discord. I really don't mind. I get some spam sometimes, but I do look at all the messages I get. So if you have any questions about the game or the future or the past or this podcast, right, you can always reach out to me and we can chat. That includes you guys, by the way.
Yay.
Thank you very much.
Yay.
I totally understand you on the .net thing, JoCamNet. That's and then there was a stretch where someone stole my domain, so I went with jocamnet.com.
Oh.
Yeah, that was dumb. Now we're back to jocam.net, so we're good there.
To be fair, for us, that's dumb is just our daily mantra, really, joke.
Yeah, fair. All right, well, Julian, one more time, hit us with the sales pitch on the game. Tell us where we could get it, how much it costs. Give us all the details on the game. And, yeah, I don't know what else to say there. I don't know why I continued on.
Cool. Well, sales pitch, I'm still not super great at this because I am really doing a bunch of engineering for the game. But if I were to sell it to you guys and everyone listening, I don't think there's another game that's come out this year with more heart. And I'm saying that knowing that Expedition 33 and Hollow Knight Silksong have both released this year too. And I can say that my team and I have poured everything into this game. It's imperfect, but it has tons of content, an amazing soundtrack, 158 songs with dozens of musicians involved.
Wow.
And we have a great story. Yeah, the pacing, I know the pacing's not perfect. I know the tutorials are a little unclear and wordy, and I know there's a lot of dialogue, but if you want to play a classic style JRPG and gain interest, because I guarantee you'll become at least interested in Japanese language by playing the game, you're not missing out with Shujinkou. It's very pricey, I understand. We do have sales once in a while, but there's also a demo that's 20 hours of content for you to play, and the saves do transfer to the full game. So MSRP $59.99 for both PS5, Steam, and PS4, but you can experience the first half for $29.99 on Nintendo Switch. Again, we didn't reach the same positions as Hollow Knight and Expedition 33 on OpenCritic out of luck. People who took the time to play the game saw the heart and love that's been placed in it and gave us ratings that they felt were appropriate, and that just so happens to match some of the best games that have come out this year. So that's what I have to say about Shujinkou. First game in a trilogy. The next games will be even better, but I hope you enjoy the fruits of our labor.
Except that one dick about the options.
No comment.
On that note, we are finished with this episode. I want to thank everyone for coming on, hanging out with us. Julian, thank you again for being here. Big thanks to Tim coming on in the first half of the show, chatting about Metal Gear and Star Wars with us. Shujinkou is out now. Pick it up, play it, get the demo at the very least. Give it a go. Does anyone have... Well, Julian, we'll give it to you. Do you have any final words to end the show?
Oof. Well, if you've made it this far, you're probably pretty interested in either Shujinkou, Joe, or Aki, maybe Pernell. So I'm glad that you've managed to make it this far, and thank you so much for giving us all a listen.
No one made it this far.